Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Osoyoos Town Council, Monday, May the 6th at 2:00 p.m. in Council Chambers. The first item would be the adoption of minutes from previous meetings, Committee of the Whole minutes from April the 15th, and regular open minutes from April the 15th. Any input from Council as to changes, deletions, additions, they will be adopted by consensus. No business arising from those minutes. Introduction of late items, yes, there is one, and it will be the dog swim area at White Sands, and we are going to make that Business 1A as the addition. On the addition of late items, we're also looking at the agenda. And the agenda has a change item in it in the bylaws section under H Bylaw 3, Sanitary, Sewer, and Water Extension. That's actually a business item. That's going to become Business 10. The current item, Business 10, Osoyoos Indian Band Phase 3, will be coming back to Council. It wasn't ready for this meeting. It'll be coming back to Council at our next meeting, which would be the 20th. We'll bring that forward at that point. So I think I'll have a motion for the adjusted agenda. Councillor Rhodes McCordoff, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Under delegations, we are going to have the royalty here. They have school commitments, so we'll just fit them in when they come at approximately 3 o'clock. They're going to make a visit to Town Council, moving us into water matters, and we have Water District Rates and Regulations Amendment, Bylaw 124105-2013. Mr. Zackel, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. So, Town of Osoyoos operates a rural water system under the Water District Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1241. Each year, the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they're brought forward as an amending bylaw to update the contents and/or the fees and charges. The 2013 rate for a single-family residence is $346. Bylaw Amendment 1241.05 received first 3 readings on March 4th, 2013, and was brought forward for Council's consideration for adoption on March 18th. At this meeting, Council decided to defer their approval of this amending bylaw. At the April 15th meeting, Council rescinded third reading and changed the parcel irrigation rate to $163.55, being 1.8% increase, and reread the bylaw for a third time. So this bylaw is now before Council for adoption.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Moreira, Councillor Laranjo, any further discussion on this? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That bylaw has now been adopted.
Take your paycheck.
Next item up would be correspondence. So a letter from StopSmarttMeters.ca. I'm just going to flip this right over to the council guru on smart meters. That would be Councillor Ryan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it's interesting that this has been a really important matter for a number of people throughout the province. I think that it's a noble thing to use the Recall and Initiative Act to try to stop this. It does, presumably it would be, even though it keeps referencing BC Hydro, it would apply to everyone, but it's interesting that there is a difference in that BC Hydro is subject directly to the government, and they have mandated it, whereas in our area here in the town of Osoyoos, we are serviced by Fortis BC, and they have still, I think, we're still awaiting the outcome of the BC Utilities Commission decision about their wireless meetings. They had to go to the BC Utilities Commission, whereas BC Hydro did not. and BC Hydro has virtually completed their installation. So with all due respect to this initiative, I think it really outside of our purview and doesn't really concern the citizens here. And I will say in my report that the council members who attended the Southern and Interior Local Government Association did support 2 initiatives about rates, not so much smart meters, but about rates.
Okay, thank you very much for bringing this current. So it looked like we'd be looking for a motion to receive. Councilor McCordoff, Rhodes, any further discussion on that? All in favor? We will do exactly that. Bringing us to the bylaw section of the meeting, and we have a report from the Walnut Beach foreshore zoning. Is that Mr. Romanko, or are we deferring?
I guess I'll be reporting in absentia or something in terms of our planning department. Anyway, the purpose of this report is to recommend that Council zoning bylaw amendment number 1085.86/2012 be adopted. This specifically relates to the Walnut Beach resorts, and the purpose is to add a marina as a permitted use to the current CD5 comprehensive development zone. On July 16th, 2012, Council read the bylaw 1085.86 for the first time. On August 21st, 2012, a public hearing was held, and there was no public presentations. And on September 4th, 2012, Council read the bylaw for a second and third time. The Town of Osoyoos zoning bylaw only allows commercial businesses to operate from a marina. In 2010, we found it necessary to develop a wait list for commercial businesses wishing to operate on Osoyoos Lake. As a temporary solution to the problem, Council directed staff to allow commercial businesses to operate on a trial basis from a short list of resorts which had commercial zoning. As it turned out, Walnut Beach was the only resort to take part in this offer. In 2012, the Lake Recreation Commercial Use Task Force reviewed the matter and recommended that if Walnut Beach Resort wanted to continue having commercial businesses operating from their moorage facility, they would have to apply for a zoning amendment subject to the resort guaranteeing adequate parking, amending their provincial moorage tenure to allow for commercial activities. On April 19th, 2013, we received confirmation from the Integrated Land Management Bureau that they have amended the resort's strata moorage tenure to allow for the commercial activities. To ensure adequate parking for commercial businesses, the manager of the resort has advised us that the underground parkade will be open from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. every day, and that additional signage will be posted on-site directing patrons to use underground parking. They have also promised to segregate a total of 8 parking stalls close to the parkade door and identify them as visitor parking. See attached letter from the manager of Walnut Beach. Impacts: commercial operators provide a service to the community. Organizationally, there's just some staff time required to issue business licenses. Budget: cost of advertising and convening a public hearing. Business licensing generates revenue to the town. Significant dates: the zoning amendment application was submitted on June 13th, 2012. And the sustainability, this complies with council approved recommendations of the LRCU task force, and the options are to adopt the bylaw, request more information, or abandon the bylaw, and we are recommending that the council adopt the zoning amendment bylaw 1085.86/2012.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Romanko. Mr. Shannon is here. Mr. Shannon, do you have any further comments to that report?
No, I don't believe so. Sorry I'm late. You guys are really fast.
That's fine.
No, it's just this one's been on the books for quite some time. We were waiting for the Integrated Land Management Bureau to get through their process for the application that that Walnut Beach Resort had in stream to amend a text amendment to their tenure to allow for the commercial activities, and we've received notification that that's been approved. So we'd like to go ahead with adoption.
So this will be some of our first Well, as a result of the foreshore rezoning, this is an end result of that, getting this commercial section here?
This is part of the recommendations of the LRCU committee as well, but we got it in stream actually right after. Yeah, right after those recommendations were adopted in February. Very shortly after that, we got our application in stream.
Okay, great, thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that we adopt zoning amendment bylaw 1085.86.
Okay, and that seconder, Councillor Bont. Any further discussion? Any further discussion on that bylaw? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Shannon. Nice work. This is all good, makes sense projects for Osoyoos Lake and the direction that we're going in, and the foreshore usages that are out there. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Under bylaw number 2, Osoyoos tax rates bylaw, Mr. Zackel, Director of Financial Services, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. So, Osoyoos tax rates bylaw 1301 is now before council for adoption. This bylaw received first 2 readings on the 15th of April. The Osoyoos tax rates bylaw is in line with the 5-year financial plan that was adopted March 4th of 2013 and includes a 1.83% increase to taxes, with the business multiple remaining at 1.6 times the residential mill rate. The property tax bylaw needs to be adopted no later than May 15th as per section 197.1 of the community charter. And we've got some average taxes for some South Okanagan municipalities. So under Class 1 residential, the average residential property for Osoyoos pays $643.94 for municipal taxes. Oliver pays $615.76, and Peachland pays $1,202.72. For the businesses, you'll find Osoyoos is the lowest at $1,039.40, Oliver at $1,998.86, and Peachland at $538.09. So this is for council for adoption.
Thank you. And those are some impressive numbers, particularly when you look at some of the assessed values that are in there. For you take that assessed value and it turns into the tax portion that people are paying there. I think we're doing very well in the whole South Okanagan. And I was reading it was either the Saturday Okanagan paper or the Sunday Okanagan paper, and I was looking at Kelowna has put forth expectations for 5 years of what their tax hikes are going to be, and there was 2%, 3%, and 4% hikes coming in the next 5 years. I'll try to find the article and just, but it was in the Okanagan Sunday or the Okanagan Saturday paper, and I found that to be quite alarming when I look at what we're doing here in town. I know our business multiplier, we always look at economic development, and that 1.6 is a business multiplier, one of the lowest out there in the province, and we're also very proud of that, because that's the first step that we're able to do when we're looking at attracting and retaining businesses, is point to that figure. The provincial request is 2.45, and again ours is 1.6. So those are things that are to be noted. And again, the taxes and looking at the assessments, we get assessed high, and we still managed to run a very lean operation here. And I think we're providing a lot of amenities and services and good things to the town at very minimal tax increases. I'd also like to say that the tax hike that we're looking at this year followed through on last year, which had 0 tax hike. So obviously there is going to be a requirement for a bit of a lift. This was the lift that we have. So I think this is the work of a good council and certainly good administration in doing the number of additions we have. When you look at some of the additions to the town, such as the lighted walkway up to the golf course, some of that marina, some of the forefront, some of the parks that have happened in the last little while. Really, truly, we've accomplished a lot. Excuse me, with minimal increases. So I'm quite happy and quite proud to be a part of the team that delivered this. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'd like to move our only option to adopt the 2013 Osoyoos tax rates bylaw 1301,2013.
And Councillor Plante, please. Any further discussion from council? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thanks, Mr. Zackel. Again, job well done in landing that budget. Sanitary sewer has been moved, going to off-street parking amendment bylaw, boat trailer parking report from Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Van Vienen, please.
Thank you. Council gave 3 readings to off-street parking amendment bylaw number 127402-2013 at its regular meeting of April 15th. The attached bylaw provides for a permit system whereby hotel-motel guests will receive a free permit since the hotel room tax pays for the lease of the lot. The condominium owners or visitors staying at private residences can apply for a permit from the town office and any other place the town sets up to issue permits. These permits will be issued upon receipt of a fee of $15 per week plus GST. The amending bylaw does not allow for residents to use the boat trailer parking lot. A 72-hour grace period is also provided for that will allow for people coming to town for one day or just for the weekend to use the parking area for free. And since the town office is not open during the weekend, it will allow for temporary parking without a permit until the office opens. There's 3 options being presented to council. One is that the bylaw be adopted, one that it be sent back to staff for modification, or that no changes in this bylaw not be adopted.
Thank you. Council, please. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd like to move that we adopt option number 1, which is that the off-street public parking amendment bylaw number 1274.02 2013 be adopted.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McCordoff. Any discussion on this, please? Councillor Ryan?
Yes, thank you. I think this is a nice change, which is minor, but will continue to provide off-street parking, particularly focusing on the people whom we really are trying to target and make it available for. And I think that small, modest amount is reasonable for those that are not guests at hotels, which have helped to provide this amenity. So I hope it works, and I think that grace period over the weekend is very reasonable to give people a chance to get their ticket on Monday when we open.
You bet. Any further discussion on that? I'd just like to say that I find this very, very accommodating. While we don't let residents use it, because we're not trying to compete with storage sites that are commercial businesses. But if you do have a visitor coming to town and we don't allow boat trailers on our streets, they are able to use this facility and pick up or pay their $15 a week when the town office opens. So I find that real refreshing, that while we're not allowing residents, visitors and friends and family and that can use this service. So anything further on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That is that part of the meeting. We are going to go into business. And business number 1, the audited financial statements. This is a requirement, a legislative requirement of all municipal governments. So we have a report from Mr. Zackel from Financial Services.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. So before council here is to present the 2012 audited financial statements for the town of Osoyoos and Sun Bowl Arena for council approval. The town's auditors, White Kennedy, have completed the audit of the town of Osoyoos and Sun Bowl Arena and have prepared the 2012 financial statements for your review and approval. I've reviewed all of the accounts and can confirm the accuracy of the numbers. Mike Doherty of White Kennedy was to be in attendance to present the audit opinion to the town council for the town of Osoyoos and Sunville Arena financial statements, and I'm not sure. No, so I can read the parts of the report from that. So the highlights of the 2012 audited financial statements include the first page, the independent auditor's report. It states, White Kennedy provided an opinion in the independent auditor's report of the town of Osoyoos, and as stated, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the corporation of the town of Osoyoos as at December 31st, 2012, and the results of this operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting principles. Page 3 of the town statement's consolidated statement of operations shows an excess revenue over expenditures of $5,345,015 in 2012. Of this, portions referenced below are the cash surpluses for these three funds. The general fund was $502,229.77. Sewer fund, $575,378.81. And water fund, $184,111.98. In our budget deliberations that we had, these numbers are very close to what was presented to council at that time as well.
May I ask a question now on that?
Yes.
The revenue over expenditures was 5.3 million, and then it has those three accounts.
Yes.
So the rest of the revenues over expenditures are to be spent yet? Is that
No, those are all non-cash items. They're through the tangible capital asset scenarios where you've got all of those components that are built into it. So all total non-cash items, which still shows your equity, your net equity coming up, but it's not cash. So I wanted to be able to report to council what's spendable and what's non-spendable.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So long-term debt. General fund is decreased by $6,868 and has a balance of $183,194. The sewer fund is decreased by $38,678 and has got a balance of $503,533. The water fund is decreased by $19,500 and has a balance of $264,318. Our development cost charges. Parks DCCs have decreased by $143,000 and have a balance of $760,879. Roads DCCs have decreased by $109,582 and have a balance of $776,590. Sewer is increased by $9,827 and has a balance of $430,170. Water is decreased by $443,857, has a balance of $200,996. And DCC storm drains has increased by $168, but is still in a negative balance of $14,505. Tangible capital assets under capital leases. The net book value of tangible capital assets under capital leases has increased by $173,659 and has a balance of $747,531 in 2012. Our reserves for future expenditures. General fund has $990,000. This is down from $1.45 million in 2011. Sewer fund has $1.3 million, and that's the same as 2011. Water fund has $1.04 million, and that's up from a $994,000 in 2011.
Mr. Zackel?
Yes.
May I please? On that general fund, that's a large drawdown of $500,000. What was that expenditure?
Those were all reserve funds that were allocated towards capital projects in 2012.
Okay, so that we're talking roads and sidewalks and things like that. Okay.
Yep, that's correct. It's all of our reserve funds were allocated towards capital projects.
Okay, thank you.
So we've got the cemetery care fund. This fund is increased by $3,067 and it has a balance of $72,202 in 2012. As for the Sun Bowl Arena, the independent auditor's report from that statement, White Kennedy provided an opinion in their independent auditor's report of the Sun Bowl Arena, and as stated, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the position of the Osoyoos Sun Bowl Arena as at December 31st, 2012, and the results of its operations and its cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting principles. And a statement of financial position, the Sun Bowl had a surplus balance of $3,058 in 2012. So implications: community, financial accountability to the community, it's very important. Organizational, financial accountability to council and staff, likewise important. Budget, there's nothing to report on. Sustainability, nothing to report on. So these financial statements are before council for approval.
Okay. Council, please. Councillor Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move that we accept the audited financial statements as presented.
Okay. And that seconder, Mr. Zach?
They would need to be approved. Rather than accepted, they would need to be approved.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I can change that to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Council to approve the Town of Osoyoos Sun
Yes.
Bowl Arena audited financial statements
Yes.
as presented.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Ryan. Any further discussion? Councillor Rhodes is the seconder. Councillor Ryan, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just had. First of all, I think they're excellent. I having seen them for a number of years now, I know where to hone in and what to look for. And it's certainly nice to see that healthy balances in our reserve funds, even though we have made a great number of expenditures of various kinds. But I did want to ask two questions. One is, it's actually in the notes. It's note 11 about pension liability, and it says that we have had a valuation that happened last year. We haven't got the results of it yet, but that at that time, going into that, we had the pension plan that we belong to had over a $1 million funding deficit, and I was wondering whether we've had things like that in the past and how deficits are remedied. How much time do we have to remedy those, and what are the means of doing so?
The municipal pension plan is basically a plan that's a joint trusteed group. So they are able to enact all of the regulations to recover shortfalls when they're in those type of situations. So what we see for anybody that is a member of this pension plan is rates go up, things of that nature to account for shortfalls. Because of the valuations, they take care of them every 3 years, and that's where they make the adjustments to it. And what we saw over those previous years was quite a change due to lower interest rates and things of that nature. So basically, this is a plan that they regulate on a very, very tight basis, because it encompasses a lot of employees. You know, we talk about the municipal portion of this. There's not only this, but there's a hospital employees union, there's a teachers union, or pension plans that are all built into this, the RCMP and so on and so forth. They're all part of this big plan in the big picture.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Remanko, please.
I just wanted to make comment, Mr. Mayor, in relation to your question about the decrease in the general fund. On page 18, I think where you can see where the largest decrease in the general fund occurred due to, that's where we have our resort municipality fund in there, and the large number of expenditures that were made with those resort municipality funds this year, including the marina and the new washrooms. So that's where the decrease in funding comes.
Great. Okay, thank you. I think, and that's good information. I think if people that are watching this are going, ooh, that's $500,000. Well, you know, where did that go? So thanks for that information. And I wasn't really sure where that resort municipality funding showed up. So that's also good to know where we fund that. So thanks a lot. Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, opposed, that is carried. Thanks, Mr. Zackel. And once again, good work. Okay, going into business still, well, it's business forever from here on in, but into, we moved this one. This was a bit of a late item, but we are going to deal with business 1A, the dog park situation, dog park fence at White Sands. Mr. Davis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff was given direction by Council to prepare a report in relation to the issues that were presented by the residents of White Sands. They came forward voicing their concerns about the dog swim area and chain link fencing that is located behind their complex. This area was designated as a dog swim area because it had always been used for that reason. Once signage was put in place, it was suggested to install a staging area so patrons using the walkway would feel safe. All dogs still have to be leashed going to and from this area. A suggestion was brought forward to relocate the swimming area further east towards the lawn bowling area and senior center. This may not work as well, as this area is currently being leased by Osoyoos Water Sports and could possibly interfere with their operations. And this is also a riparian area where you cannot put any barriers on the beach. We also have a bylaw that does not allow dogs in Gyro Park during the months of June, July, and August. Another option could be to locate the dog swim area north of Lions Park. More fencing could be installed to make it safe for the users of the park. This could be a prime location as the beach is more rugged and not used primarily for people for swimming. Additional consideration can be given to making Goodman Park a designated dog swim area. This beach has not traditionally been used as a human swim area, and it could actually would not conflict. This area would continue to be an on-leash area, providing the added opportunity for many dog walkers on Lakeshore Drive to take their dog for a swim. In terms of implications for the community, providing a dog swimming area is essential to meet the service needs of local residents and tourists. Locations of swim areas receive greater use if they're placed in areas that owners walk their dogs. Organizational implications, getting the fence relocated or moved and installing signs can be easily handled. Budget, minimal dollars to move fencing and signage if required. Obviously our significant dates would be immediately and nothing for sustainability. So the options presented are: 1, remove the fencing at White Sands and do not have the beach designated as a dog swimming area. Number 2, remove the fencing and retain the area as a dog swim area. Third option, remove fencing at White Sands and relocate the dog swimming area north of Lions Park and install more fencing to make it a safe and secure area for all patrons. Number 4, remove the fencing at White Sands, shift the dog swimming area east, closer to the senior center, and also designate the area north of Lions Park as a swim area. Number 5, status quo with the fencing and swim area continuing in its existing format. And option number 6, designate Goodman Park as an additional dog swim area. And our recommendation, the recommendation that service of a swim area be continued within the town with options number 2 and number 6. The current site offers good access to dog owners that are walking along the waterfront walkway and also provides a swim area for watermark guests and tourists who stop at the washroom area. Moving the swim area toward the lawn bowling area would cause conflict with dogs passing through Gyro Park in a period of time when dogs are not allowed in that area. The further option of Goodman Park provides that service for dog walkers on Lakeshore Drive and people who will travel to the site.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Davis. I want to throw a comment out there before we get too far down the discussion road. And the first one I want to mention is I don't really think that solved the problem from the people at White Sands. It wasn't just the fence. It was the dog swim area and everything associated with that they were complaining about. And as I recall, there was quite a large number of them here that were complaining about it. And it is right in their front yard. The fence was only one component. The dog swim area itself was there, and it was the same group of people that when we had the swim area there without the fence, that was actually quite scary to have. You have large dogs coming out of the water wanting to run, and if you had 2 of them and they're running and shaking off and drying and all that, if they hit any of our senior citizens or heavens me or young citizens, if they hit anybody in their running antics, could be a severe injury, and that's why that fence went in the first place. So I don't know that that is really an option. Goodman Park, I don't know enough about the swimming habits over there, but it's certainly not doing. We need something in Gyro Park, particularly with people when they're staying at that Watermark Hotel that bills itself as a dog-friendly hotel. People come there and they're on the beach, and they can't swim their dogs there because we have a no dogs off leash in the summertime, in July and August. So we're not solving that issue. The issue is really the piece of property behind the lawn bowling that was the original number 1. And has that, was that surveyed, that piece of land that they have? Is this was this a line drawn on the map that they rent? We still have the piece below the museum that's there. I think it has to be in that park. There's a lot of use there. There's a lot of demand for it there. So, and I appreciate the work you did, Mr. Davis. And I'm only one voice here. I'm just one voice, and I probably have the weakest vote at the table. But that's some input that I want to bring to the table, and I'm turning it over to Council. Councillor Rhodes, you've had tons to do with this, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it had a little bit to do with it. It was more the other land-based park that was.
Okay.
So that area directly below the museum technically was designated as part of the swim area. It went approximately 2/3 of the way down the museum. So if you can envision the dome, starting from the senior center, about 1/3 of that building down to where the existing sign was, and then the fencing was put up uphill from the designated swim area. Never was the fence area ever designated. It was just a convenience to separate, residents and park users from the dogs coming out, as you stated. And one of the problems that we encountered was that riparian restriction about putting signs and fencing to designate down in that area. So we didn't do it. I'm still not thoroughly convinced that we could not still do that down there. I understand it's a riparian area, but I think there's enough lack of riparian stuff down there, like trees, because it's old brush shrubs. Actually, when you look at it, it might be better cleaned up with some fencing down there, because it seems to attract a lot of blowing refuse and garbage and people down there drinking or doing whatever down there. And I know all of that because we did a little bit of a cleanup down there when we first designated it. But I still think that would be an acceptable area if we could fence and delineate it off from the rest of the area. The problem that we have is getting to it and exiting from it. No matter how you look at it, you're going to have to go over that grass area to get down there, or cutting between the senior center and the museum, which is all acceptable because when you're down there, you're kind of away from everything else. So I don't really know. I'm a little conflicted on it. I'd like to see it stay down there. I think it would be an improvement to have some dog and human activity down there. Certainly would discourage a lot of the bad behavior that takes place down there during the summer and that kind of thing. But it's not the perfect solution, but I don't think we have a perfect solution anywhere. And I kind of do like option number 3, the one about the north end of Lions Park. I don't know whether that's acceptable or not. It seems, I know we've talked about it in detail before, and it seemed to work pretty good. It's just that we came up with this other plan and we deflected away from that option. So I'm not sure either one of them would work in my mind.
Okay. Councillor Plant.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if this sounds funny or not, but I see all 3 of them having them. I know that Goodman Park if we're again going back to what Watermark and Walnut Beach are doing and being pet friendly, it would be nice to have one there at Goodman, and it would be nice to have one at Lions Park, as well as down at the Gyro. So I'm going to say all three, and I'm going to put that out there instead of us. And actually, living close to Lions Park, I've noticed a lot of dog owners do use that area, and it seems to be gradually towards the north end of that lip that they use as far as the park itself. So I honestly believe where we have waterfront and people are together with families, usually that also brings along their pet, and to provide that little extra spot there for their dogs at all three locations, to me, it's not a bad thing. So
that was well spoken by new pet owner councillor Mike Plott and Ruby.
Or but new, yeah.
And Ruby.
Yeah.
Was that on behalf of Ruby?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Romanko, please.
Yeah, I think the whole issue is Gyro Park, taking dogs through an area, because in terms of access to the swim area in behind the lawn bowling and in behind the museum, I think the natural gravity will be to walk through Gyro Park, which creates all kinds of issues relative to bylaw enforcement. However, that being said, and it's really nice to stay away from those gray areas, and perhaps we can take a look at the south end of at the water by the bridge. I know there's usually a lot of people sitting around, milling around there. Perhaps we can designate that as a swim area for dogs, and maybe the north end of Lions Beach and Goodman, and then we have an assortment. Then we can keep things away from Gyro Beach, and but still have access to that walkway.
And could you further on what the issue with walking dogs through Gyro Beach?
Well, we don't allow dogs in Gyro in June, July, and August. So
off leash.
On leash either.
Yeah.
Just on the walkway, I think.
Just on the walkway.
Wow.
So they're not allowed in the public space area on the beach at all.
Okay.
Just on the walkway.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying, as soon as you start, we're going to get into all kinds of bylaw enforcement issues. While I'm just walking my dog to the
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it is a very difficult decision, and it's what they say about freeways. If you build it, suddenly they fill up, and you need to make them bigger. But one of the issues that I perceive, and a good example of it was on the weekend, where dogs don't stay with their owner, and they don't just go in and out. People spend the whole day there, and if there isn't something that goes to the water's edge, then the dog decides that it's really more fun to run along the beach, and so I think the same would happen no matter where we put it, as long as there's this interface of people who are using the beach who don't have dogs and people who have dogs. The dogs aren't, the odd person, the odd dog owner takes the dog, they go in, they throw the ball, and they keep them in the water, and then they put their leashes on them, and they go on. But many people, probably a majority as far as I've observed, spend a lot of time there, and they do a little work with the dog in the water, and then they get tired and they sit down, and the dog starts wandering around and runs around the fence and sees another dog and chases it. So, it's hard to make it a kind of a one-stop, in and out situation. And whether we can do that, in areas where the interface is not as immediate, or whether we can do it, sort of wink a little bit at the riparian area and say we're not really building anything, we're just putting a few stakes in the ground. Or maybe we just need to go back and sort of pull out our old reports and say, where did we look before, and is there any enlightenment that's going to come from those?
I think there's been a couple. Sorry. Sorry
Sure.
about that. I think there's been a couple of things that came through loud and clear. We're never going to get it right, and we're going to deal with it every year. I like the far north end at Lions. There's a nice little area out there. Not a huge number of dogs, but it would work. I like the south end. We've had that suggested before down by the bridge. I fully understand the gyro main core area for July and August. So I think we should just work towards doing that north and south and keep them off, and we'll be back next year on that same day debating the same issue. I mean, dogs stand for debate. Councilor McCord.
Yes, thank you. I agree with everything that's said, and I do think we need to try and provide numerous places for dogs, because we've now discovered that everybody has a dog. They all need to get down to the water, and you try and concentrate in them in one area, it's going to be a bit of a zoo. So I do like the fact that we consider something over on East Lakeshore Drive around there, like Goodman. I think that might be a good idea. There, north end of Lions Park and the bridge. So I'm quite in favor. I think that's a great idea to try and spread it out a little bit.
Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. I'd have to argue a little bit about the south end by the bridge. My experience during July and August, there is such tremendous boat traffic going through there all the time. Once the dog is free in the water, they don't obey the same as, I could just see a lot of impact possibilities there during those months. It really does narrow down there. You can't, on the west side of the bridge, you can't go over there at all. I mean, it's all rocky. So it really channels down into a very, very narrow area there. And to have dog activity out there, I just think we're just asking for, I mean, it's a good spot, perfect spot, except for the boat traffic going through there. During the summer months, it's constant from early in the morning till late at night, never lets up. But I would like to support the Goodman Park thing. We got parking, we got a washroom there, nice little park. I think there's that's a good location. But I still don't want to give up in that area below the museum. I think if we can take a little bit of a rebellious attitude and put some fencing down there. I know it's risky, but it's not that risky. I mean, there's worse things that are going to happen to us. I think we can do it without impacting anything down there, without interrupting, any fish or wildlife activity, and I think if it's done right on the north end, on the south end, that it'll discourage traffic from Jarrow Beach, because it's very, very steep, and if the fencing is blended into the hill, you'd have to be a fool to try and get a dog up and around, and you would access it to the proper way down there. And I don't think it's going to impact the residents and the visitors. I think it's a real good thing to have some human dog activity going on down there.
And I can support that position also. And I think Ms. Van Vienen, on our I'm going to you because of our lease with the water sports folks. Maybe we should be that piece down there. If we could get at it properly without going through the park, which would be, where were you looking at accessing that? By the seniors?
Well, there's the obvious one being on the north end, which is the north end of the museum building, down in that area. We're going to have dog activity down there anyway, but also in between the museum and the north end of the seniors complex. I believe that there's adequate room and a nice little path going down.
Yeah, there's a path there.
Yeah. Okay, so if we could get them out that way and away, and maybe if we're doing lease renewals or anything like that with the water sport folks, let's pay attention, because nobody uses that beach, and I want to really make this clear. Nobody uses, because of the stone beach down there. I defy people to walk down there in their bare feet. You need river shoes to do it. So what a perfect place for our four-pod friends to be, where other people can't swim because you just can't do it. So So it's a natural, and in our longer term, if we're doing lease, let's try to keep that in mind for a dog swim area, and we'll do with what we can this year. We'll do some north. I think we have to look at what Councillor Rhodes said about the south. There's strong current there also, and if you're throwing, if you have one of those plastic things that throws something out there, and the dog's out there and the boats are out there, and right now if you went down there or high water in June, that dog could be past the sandbar down there. I see some issues there, and we're just going to have to keep this as an ongoing. This will be an ongoing dialogue until we maybe get something cleared up below the rink and the seniors and that.
So for clarity's
Yes,
sake,
please. Yes, please.
are we going to go with the North End Alliance? Is that
Yep,
is
I
that the
think
direction
that's
of
good.
council?
Yeah.
Okay, and then to promote Goodman Park as a dog swim designated area as well.
And the museum one,
And
we have.
we'll continue it, and we'll work in that area to try and so we'll have three potential
And
locations.
I'm hearing what Councillor Rhodes is saying about pushing the issue a little bit, but let's have the person making the riparian decision why we can't have 2 panels of fence up there just designating where the area stops, and that stops them from coming out at the White Sands and solves that problem. So can we have that person come before council? We would like to question why we can't have a couple of pieces of fence down there. I get a little tired, probably as much as Councillor Rhodes does. I get a little tired, a little bit of angst about some of this riparian issue. So I think they should come here and we can ask them why we can't do that and what it's going to do to harm the riparian area by we're going to have dogs thrashing around in there, yet we can't have a little fence to contain them. It doesn't make sense, and I'm getting to be a bigger and bigger believer in common sense. So I think it's about time. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we might have some of the information on the mapping that we did at Development Services. I think it would be good to talk to them and see what they have to say about those areas. I think that the fish habitat there is not that great, but we'll know when we look at those videos.
Right. Okay. Anything, Councillor Rhodes?
Well, if we're looking for a motion, I'd be prepared to make that motion.
Okay, now we need some clarity here again.
Okay, so what I have is the north end of Lions Park, behind the museum, and Goodman Park being designated as the dog swim area.
Okay.
Those
Also
3
to
places.
remove the fencing.
And to remove the existing fencing. Will that hold it for this go round? Okay, moved by Councillor Rhodes, seconded by Councillor Ryan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, carried. We have swimming dogs in Lake Osoyoos. Thanks, Mr. Davis. Next item, Phase 1, the Splash Park equipment purchase. Report from Mr. Davis, Community Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we move closer to the development and construction of the splash park, we need to pay close attention to the timeline. In an effort to make the splash park a reality this summer, we have decided to take a phased approach. RecTech has provided quotes, and in order for us to move forward with the purchase of this magnitude, a council resolution is required because of the expenditure being over $30,000, and we are not following our normal purchasing policy to seek out competitive bids for goods and services over $75,000. The equipment for the splash park takes 6 to 8 weeks for delivery. Cost for Phase 1 for the equipment is $81,000. RecTech has agreed to cover the cost of delivery, which saves us a total of $1,700, the overall cost. Installation for Phase 1 is additional at $110,400, and this number could be reduced with the work-in-kind donations that we could get from our local people in terms of gravel, concrete, pump truck rentals, etc. Phase 2 will include a cost of $22,925 for equipment and the rubber surfacing. We have acquired one grant from the Tire Stewardship Program and have applied for another rubber tire resurfacing grant from Cal Tire. The remaining from Cal Tire would be the other $11,400. We have a balance of $105,435 with other initiatives in place. We also have applied for a $50,000 grant through Canada Post and the $11,400 from Cal Tire. These have not been approved yet, but we should know within the next month or two. We also have a budgeted amount of $42,500, which is in our approved budget for upgrades and fencing. Local contractors have also inquired about assisting with this work by donating labor to get it completed. Total cost for phase 1, $191,400 for the equipment and installation. Infrastructure from well to splash park, $10,000. That may not be an extra added cost with our news that we got this past weekend for our waterworks permit, and our washroom and fencing costs of $42,500. We have sufficient funds to move ahead with this purchase of equipment for phase 1. Ordering the equipment now will assist us by having it ready and on hand when the groundwork gets completed. In terms of implications for the community, a major portion of the splash park will be completed, and possibly all of the park, depending on the success of our fundraising, which we're in the midst of doing right now. Organizational implications, keeping the tasks of the splash park on time and moving forward is very demanding, but very well worth it. Our budget, we have sufficient funds to order the equipment for phase 1. Significant dates, obviously the 6 to 8 weeks, and the timing for us to have this ready for this summer is very important, and nothing for sustainability. In terms of options, number 1, for council to approve the purchase of the equipment only for phase 1 of the splash park in the amount of $81,000 plus tax from water play equipment through RecTech Industries. Option number 2, for council not to approve this equipment purchase at this time and wait until more fundraising dollars are in place. Or third option, for council to approve nothing at this time, and I'm recommending option number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. What, in option or phase 1, do we get a reasonable play area?
Yes,
you know, it's going to be good.
3/4 of the overall park.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay. Yes, Councilor Pond.
Yeah, and to that, what we wanted to do is make sure that phase 1, that kids could still play. Yeah, for instance, we have 3 cannons that are on our overall full, but we've decided at this point for phase 1 at least to have 2 cannons. So those kind of things that we could do to, bring, and as far as that, the equipment can actually be placed in. Phase 1 can be done, all the infrastructure done, and it's just a matter of taking a cap off, twisting in the piece of equipment when purchased or have the funds for, and that thing's alive and working. So it allows us that phasing in process allows us to, as we gather more fundraising, we'll be able to purchase equipment and put it in right away.
Okay, and I think it's really great to hear that we have that local buy-in. That businesses in town are doing some major donations in kind. It's been a long time since we've seen that in the community, and I guess sometimes if you don't ask, you don't get it. So that's really good. And I just like, Mr. Davis, could you report on today's news, just so that we solve that water source problem, and there's probably some people out there that are interested.
Over this past weekend, we found out that through the work done by Terry Underwood with True, that we actually received a permit to the water play construction, or the waterworks construction on site at Jack Shaw. So it's a huge thing to say that yes, we have acceptance from Interior Health to move forward in terms of the water source, which was always one of our biggest demands. So it's a very positive thing today.
Okay, that's great. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm waiting anxiously for Councillor Plante to make this motion on this. I would like to put out a challenge to my fellow council members. I have a book of tickets that have been sitting on my desk, and I bought mine, but I sure haven't seen any of the other council members come by and pay their dues. So if I can't do it by being warm and friendly, I'll do it by public intimidation. So there you go.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Plante.
Well, I guess then I'll have to put that motion forward. I would like us to move forward with this splash park and allow us to get started here with phase 1 with the purchase of the equipment.
Great. And that seconder, Councillor McCordoff. Further discussion, please. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. I know we're suggesting approving 81,000 plus tax. I noticed that they used harmonized tax. Are both of the taxes applicable to this equipment?
Yes. Yeah.
Even though they're not harmonized, they're still both going to be on it. Okay. And the other was the water source. Is that a new well that we were proposing to drill, or the existing one?
Right now, it would be hooked up to our existing water supply. That's what we got the permit for, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And just on that, just to add a comment on that water well, we are progressing and moving ahead with a new well that's going to be serve some agriculture or some irrigation needs down in that area, along with the water park. So our long term is to not have this on town potable water. It will be on a well, and the beauty of this is that instead of having to run it, it's not chlorinated water, so we don't have to put it into our sewer system. This water will drain into the lake. And if we were going to a chlorinated water system, that wouldn't be allowed because of the potential of fish kill. And so then we would be taking potable water through the splash park and then pumping it up to the sewage lagoons to dispose of up there. So that really didn't make sense. So we've been working very, very hard to make sure that we can get this through. So right now we will be temporarily on potable water. We are getting permission to open up an old well down there. It's actually, we're going to have to re-drill an existing well down there, but it will be going into lake disposal, and it's just a great program all in all. So that's been some of the hang-ups with the time frame, is interior health and making sure we meet all their requirements and needs. So just adding that on for information purposes. Any other discussion on this? Maybe the motion once again, Ms. Van Vienen.
Moved by Councillor Plante and seconded by Councillor McCordoff, and resolved that Council approves the purchase of the equipment only for phase 1 of the splash park in the amount of $81,999 plus tax from Waterplay Equipment through RecTech Industries.
Great. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We'll be splashing this year.
Thank you.
Next item, community service grants. Mr. Davis again, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This year, I have been given direction to look at the community grant and aid program along with Councillor Plante and Councillor Ryan. The community service grants received this year was $47,000. The actual total approved budget for 2003 was $43,000. Almost all of the requests were approved with the exception of 2 which did not fit the criteria, and of the projects that were approved, almost all received full funding. Staff is attaching a spreadsheet which outlines the applicants and the amount of funding that has been approved. If Council approves the recommended amounts, staff will prepare letters to all recipients, and if Council wishes to bring the applicants to a Council meeting for presentations, we can organize that for the immediate future. In summary, the recommendations to Council: Osoyoos Royalty, $6,000. Festival Society, $6,000. The firework contribution, $5,000. Elementary School, $5,000. Elks Senior Citizen Society, $4,900. Desert Sun Counseling, $4,000. Senior Center, $2,600. Cassie, $2,400. Elks Lodge, $2,250. Secondary School, $2,250. Curling Club, $1,000. Sir Optimus, $1,000. And the Royal Canadian Legion for $600, for a total of $43,000. In terms of implications, the community thrives on the approval of these grants. It assists so many groups that make our community exceptional in terms of enhancing our special events and programs. The budget, it would be on budget at $43,000. Significant dates, a few of the groups have already contacted us wanting to know when the approval is, so they are waiting, and nothing for sustainability. So in terms of options, number one, for council to approve the recommended projects and dollar amounts that are presented, for council to approve different dollar amounts for the recommended projects, as long as the amount does not go over the approved budget of $43,000. Option number three, for council to approve all 15 projects and reduce the dollar amounts for all groups, keeping in mind to stay within the approved budget. And option number four, for council not to approve anything at this time. And my recommendation is for option number one.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Davis. Council's wishes, please. Councilor Ryan.
I would be pleased to move that we approve the recommended projects and the dollar amounts as presented.
Thank you. And that's seconder, Councilor Rhodes. Discussion, please. Any discussion on that, Councilor Pond?
I again just wanted to go back to how we were going to present. I guess that have we talked about that yet of how we were going to do that, other than just the letter? Where we're going to have them come down again, or we're going to set it up that way? Couldn't remember.
I'll just put it up there. Okay.
Okay, what was there a suggestion on that, Councilor?
Well, I again, it was kind of nice the way we did it last year. I kind of enjoyed it. I think we could set it up a little bit different, but I like the idea of being able to present, having them live here. It creates a little bit of awareness for each of the programs, where the dollars are going, and putting it on Channel 18. So it's just my thought anyhow. So.
Okay, and that recommended date would be next council meeting?
We have this. Yeah, I think that would work. Would that? It seems like May 20th would be the day.
Sure, sure. We should be able to bang that through fairly quickly, and thanks for that. They are significant amounts of money. You know, $6,000 that's a significant amount of money in our town. That's for sure. So I think for people to see where those dollars are going and what, I think that's a great idea. Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Ryan and Plant and Director Davis for going through this process again. I know the decision-making that goes into this comes with a lot of elation and some disappointment on some people's parts, and that's never easy to do. You never want to disappoint anybody, so thank you very much for doing that again this year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Rhodes. Yep, we appreciate that for sure. It's sometimes a little bit of a tougher job. Okay, Ms. Basket, are you all ready?
Did we vote on that, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, we have a vote to do. I was just, no, we are? Okay, we have a vote to take. All in favor of that? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. This was our 3 o'clock appointment with the Osoyoos royalty or candidates. So please.
Hello, I am Gina Pereira. Miss Knights of
There we go.
Hello, I am Gina Pereira, Miss Knights of Columbus.
Good afternoon. I am Carmen Olson, Miss Elks Lodge, number 436.
Thank you.
I did say that you might have questions for them.
Right.
Hello, I am Vivica Jensen, Miss Camp Harvey Camp.
Great. Well, thank you for coming forward, Ms. Basket. A little overview.
I was just going to apologize. The reigning royalty were supposed to be here, and there was a little misunderstanding with work schedules, so that's why they're not here.
Okay.
So, girls, do you want to ask them any questions?
Well, sure. If the girls could come forward again, maybe have the three of you stand up here, right in the middle of the view, right about, well, the camera. Yeah, we need the camera.
You haven't got to come forward and look at the camera. There you go. There you go.
So is this all the candidates that are, you can look at the camera. Are these all the candidates that are in this year?
This is just this year.
Wow, wow.
Just three.
That's great. Councillor McCordoff.
Yes, thank you. I had the privilege of attending the first royalty event this year and watching the girls introduce themselves and their sponsors. And they participated in a fashion show. Did Mrs. Baskett tell you where a lot of the outfits came from that you were modeling? They were from her closet, from the 60s. And they also did an excellent job of doing a talent. And one of them was a dancer, one of them was a singer, and the third one was a dancer but in black clothes with glow sticks. And I thought you all did an excellent job. So good luck to all three of you, because I think you're all on the right track.
Not that I'm aware of. Council, any questions of the candidates? I usually get asked to attend the crowning ceremony, so that's always such a very, very dramatic moment. I get all choked up myself over the darn thing. So I'm sure I'll see you there this year, and I really want to congratulate you for stepping forward, because it is such a wonderful program. That royalty program, what you come away with after that year of service to the community is absolutely incredible, and Town Council just keeps supporting royalty. We believe in it. We think it's really, really good for the young ladies of our community, and it's good for the tourism part of our community to be involved. So thanks for coming forward. Congratulations, and have a great competition into your next level of I think there's some teas and there's a big cake bake, as I believe that comes up soon. So have fun, enjoy it all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Gerald. Business 4, Osoyoos Waterfront Gyro Park Plan. Mr. Cunningham, I believe.
This has been a pretty hard act to follow. I hate to be upstaged by three beautiful young women, but so be it. Okay, am I on here? Okay. The purpose of this report is to seek council endorsement of the attached Osoyoos Waterfront Gyro Park Plan prepared with citizen stakeholders. Council is also requested to formally thank the stakeholders for their valuable contributions. This is the third major planning project completed in the last few months, embodying a special consultation effort to both enhance product quality and community buy-in. The other two projects were our sign bylaw, which was completed after extensive business community consultation, and our water zoning bylaw, which followed recommendations from our Lake Recreational and Commercial Task Force with 8 citizen stakeholder members. These special efforts to engage the public in major planning projects will increasingly become our business model. The Osoyoos Waterfront Gyro Park Plan was prepared using a stakeholder-driven charrette, which is an innovative tool for promoting direct democracy. A charrette is a multi-step process whereby stakeholders are assisted by trained facilitators to articulate and share their ideas, reconcile differences and seek commonalities, and collaborate in developing solutions which they can democratically support. The Osoyoos Waterfront Steering Committee, under Councillor Rhodes' chairmanship, supported this approach to meet the special challenges of planning the future of Gyro Park. These challenges include building on the park's considerable strategic importance for meeting resident and visitor recreational needs and accommodating multi-user demands on a finite land and water base. City-based Spaces Consulting facilitated the charrette process during October 10th, 12th with 29 stakeholders representing 24 different community interest groups. Another approximately 40 members of the general public took advantage of an open invitation to attend the Charrette Cafe on the evening of October 11th to provide their feedback. City Spraces wrote up the plan directly from the stakeholders' own ideas and discussions during the charrette, and it is their creation rather than of the consultants themselves or of staff or of council. However, council endorsement is being sought for the plan to give it official status for future implementation of its recommendations. By endorsing the plan, quote, council would be agreeing to all its component projects in principle and to subsequently giving them more detailed consideration under our ongoing business planning and budgeting every year regarding their scope, prioritization, and funding. The names of the 29 stakeholders who contributed to developing the plan are as follows in alphabetical order, along with some of the groups they represented. I just would like to make a roll call of the names. I won't include the groups, if that's okay. Starting, and this is in alphabetical, Amy Barsh, Peter Beckett, Carol Bowen, Don Brogan, Ken Farvo, Matt Hassan, Jim Henry, Jody Hoffman, Ingrid Jarrett, Bob Johnson, Jim King, Joe Knight, Nancy Katernick, Deanne Lee, George Mahowlick, Grant Montgomery, Mike Oran, Mark Pendergraft, Valerie Polero, Dennis Potter, Zach Pachuca, Jürgen Reinhardt, Shelby Schroeter, Yvonne Schultz, Kevin Scher, Janice St. Louis, Sandy Somers, Joe Tobias, Carol Youngberg. And if some of my pronunciations were incorrect, I apologize for that. Overview. Preparing the plan took some time after the charrette was completed to ensure it accurately reflected all stakeholder contributions while also being readable by the wider community and provide a practical guide for decision makers to implement its recommendations. Staff circulated the report on February 25th among stakeholders, and the comments received were circulated to Council on April 16th. Who then advised staff to proceed with presenting the report for endorsement. Some major recommendations of the plan are as follows. 1. Reintroduce a new multi-purpose pier and dock at the southeast point of the park to replace the small one lost during a winter storm in 2008. The new pier would be pedestrian orientated and will also include a rope swing and aquatic play area for kids. The dock component would contain 2 of 4 slips for picking up and dropping off passengers. A ferry service could connect to other locations around Osoyoos Lake. 2. Repurpose the now redundant U-shaped parking area for a multi-purpose celebration and gathering plaza that could be used for weekly events like the farmers market, seasonal events such as small concerts, wine events, car shows, and outdoor classes, and annual events including Cherry Fiesta and Canada Day. 3. Over time, enlarge the existing Central Greens open space into a great lawn for such informal uses such as picnics, sitting, and games like soccer, frisbee, and bocce. For bigger events such as large concerts, festivals, and weddings, and for children's play. The open space will be enlarged by relocating the museum and lawn bowling, and in the very long term, the senior center to suitable new home locations. 4. With relocation of some current facilities over time, it will also be possible to develop a perimeter waterfront walkway that will allow the public for the first time to walk around alongside the lake. It will stretch through the plaza and then northwards from the new pier dock to join the existing park pathway in front of White Sands. The new walkway will be accompanied with enhanced riparian planting along the shoreline. A key recommendation was that the town itself must play a stronger programming role for attracting users and entertainment events to ensure the park is well used both in winter and summer, and to ease the way for private organizers of concerts, festivals, and sports events such as beach volley tournaments. The completed plan will be circulated around more of the community by setting up information boards in the planning office, Sonora Center, and Gyro Park itself. The plan will also be posted on our new website under the news section with a quick link. We will also explore an information sharing approach using social media. and we will provide updates on each separate improvement project as being ready for implementation and invite public comments. Options: 1, council endorses the plan, or 2, council does not endorse the plan. 4, implications: community. The Gyro Park Charrette promoted community-based solutions and buy-in on how we should use one of our most valuable community assets. Organizational. Staff supported the Osoyoos Waterfront Steering Committee by submitting a study terms of reference based on a charrette process, sending out requests for proposals and evaluating them for committee review, preparing and negotiating contract documents, and preparing reports for final council approvals. Staff also helped out as resource persons at the charrette. City Spaces consultants provided specialized expertise in organizing and conducting the charrette, advising on landscape design, and preparing the final plan. Budget. Consultant costs were $31069.89, which was within our budget of $32,921.60. The significant dates: council has already included the Plaza project in their budget for completion over 2013-14, subject to resort municipality funding. Staff is starting work immediately to retain a landscape architect and arrange for engineering so that construction can proceed in 2 phases in fall this year and spring next year to avoid our high summer tour seasons. Public input will be invited on the draft design. Next year, staff will make a special effort to attract outside funding support for the new pier and dock. Sustainability supports optimum use of Gyro Park for balancing multi-user needs. Recommendations: A, staff recommends option 1, that council endorse the Osoyoos Waterfront Gyro Park plan to give it official status for future implementation of its recommendations. B, it is also recommended that the mayor send a letter to each citizen charrette stakeholder on behalf of council thanking them for their valuable contributions.
Thanks, Mr. Cunningham. Council, please. Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion based on option 1, the council endorse the plan.
Okay. And Councilor Plant. Discussion, please. Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this process that we went through, you know, other than the enthusiasm that it created about this, such a wonderful part of our community, wanted to just mention that this charrette process and the final result being the report that we're hopefully going to endorse today is an extension of our waterfront master plan that was developed about 6 or 8 years ago. And the reason for having the charrette and getting the public input was to make that waterfront master plan a little bit more contemporary and get some new ideas and opinions on what should be, you know, developed in that area down there. We have been working actively over the years to move forward with that planning, and this is just an extension of that. And, you know, really, I don't know what else to say about it, other than I would like to really thank the people that participated in it. It was such a neat experience to have such a diverse group of people there with so many ideas and so many different opinions about things. It was just such a great thing to go through that 2 or 2.5 day process. And I think that the results that came out of there brought our waterfront master plan into, you know, the current status, and certainly, you know, some of the programs are going to be left behind, but the new ones that came out of that charrette process are so great and so wonderful. And, you know, how lucky are we to be able to have that area down there and move forward with all of this stuff that we're working on right now.
Thanks, Councilor Rhodes. And yes, there certainly was an awful lot of energy that was very obvious around that whole charrette process. Councilor Plant, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This last week we had a chance to go to Silga, and while I'm in these other towns, you always get a chance to really look at what's going on in their towns, and we got this, and then we went for a walk down in Salmon Arm on the pier, And you looked around at that park down there at the waterfront, and you saw the activity that was happening. And even at one point, I was looking at young people. It was multi-use. There was seniors having a walk. There was a boot camp happening down at the park that was right by there, the water. And it just started coming all together of what this actually is going to lead to. And this is why I'm very excited to get us into motion, to start working on some of the things that we have worked on with the groups in our community and the stakeholders with our groups, but to start working on that stuff. So I was imagining that as we were walking down there and seeing all the activity, that pier is going to be in our neighborhood, and that those people are gathering in what we're going to have as our multi-use area. And so it's a very exciting time, and I'm looking forward to us moving forward with this and starting to phase ourselves to a beautiful waterfront.
Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, certainly Salmon Arm they had a magnificent waterfront, and developed very, very well. And it's interesting how theirs is, of course, between the tracks and the lake. And it's interesting how classically all waterfronts and watercourses were kind of industrialized. They had railroad tracks going by them, or they had factories and all sorts of things. Even we had a packing house there with a train spur. But we're fortunate to have regained that land and to have it, and I think we're on a per hectare basis. We're certainly packing a lot into our waterfront. So I'm very excited about this plan that we're have before us today to approve.
Thank you. And I guess one of my visuals on the charrette process was so many needs and so many neat ideas and so little land. An Osoyoos problem. Councillor McCardock.
Yes, thank you. I just think that we're very fortunate to have this all sort of pulled together, this plan, and I think the main thing now is to support this and to get busy working on it. Last year we closed off the U-shaped parking, and I think people are saying, well, you know, what's going next in there? So I think let's get it in there, get some walkways in there, and we have a vision, and let's get working on it. So I look forward to seeing this as well as the splash park happen this year.
And I strongly support that. Let's get moving on that old U area down there and turn it into one of our visions. Anything further from council? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Sorry, on that recommendation, I will get the letter out to the people that were mentioned in the report and do that. Okay, the Victim Services Program, funding agreement, Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. Before I start, I just got a request from the royalty if they could just have a picture taken before they leave.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody's.
Go in there too.
I guess I'll stay seated. I'll get the Osoyoos up here and the Osoyoos behind us. And, aye.
It's all good.
Are we ready? You have to tell us when you're ready.
Sorry, I hate this for zooming in and out. Okay, we're going to do it together, okay? And then might flash twice.
Okay.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
You sure? Thanks, Ms. Basket.
So come to our dinner on the 26th. Tickets will be on sale soon.
Okay.
Our speech dinner.
Your speech dinner.
And the cakes.
Okay. Speech and cakes, right.
Okay, thank you for having
Okay, thanks for coming. Thanks a lot, girls. Bye. Now, Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. The town of Osoyoos has administered the Victim Services Program for Osoyoos since 2005. The contract runs for 1 year from April 1st to March 31st. The total funding for the program for 2013-14 fiscal year is $35,560, which is made in 4 equal payments to the town of Osoyoos in the amount of $8,890. Appendix F is not included with the attached contract as it contains specific personal information regarding the program coordinator and other contact information, as well as detailed funding and other FOI issues. Funding for the Victim Services Program will not be sent to the town until the contract has been executed by both the town as the contractor and the province. Insurance is not an issue as we cover the program manager under the town's liability policy. The town also covers the WCB and reimbursement for vehicle insurance through the program funding. With respect to the supervision and determination of what services are provided to victims, this has been put in the hands of the RCMP OIC, or officer in charge, which in this case is Sergeant Scher, to decide along with the program manager. The implications: community, it provides a victim services program through the RCMP. Organizational administration of funding. Budget, there's no budget implications. Significant dates, any delay in the approval of this contract will delay the payment to the town from the province. And continuation of the victim services to the community is the sustainability end. The options being presented is that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to sign the 2013-14 Victim Services Program Funding Agreement for Osoyoos for a 1-year term, or that council not enter into an agreement for Victim Services Program. Staff recommend option 1. To not approve the agreement would leave Osoyoos without a Victim Services Program.
Council, please. Councilor McCordoff.
Thank you. I would move option 1. The mayor and corporate officer be authorized to sign the 2013-14 Victim Services Program Funding Agreement for Osoyoos for a 1-year term.
Thank you. Councilor Rhodes is seconding. Any discussion on this? Councilor McCordoff, please.
Yes, thank you. I just think that this is a really important program to have as part of our town, and I think it seems to be well used by many of the local citizens, and I would just think it's really important to keep up this victims assistance program.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, carried. We can. This would be the 4 payments were the 4 regional district, town of Oliver and us.
No, this payment that we get is the total amount that the province gives us. So that actually is just straight from the province. There is no funding from the regional district. That's the transit program. This is the victim services.
Okay. Okay. So this is just funding from the province for this feature. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Next item up is the Osoyoos transit route change. Ms. Van Vienen again, please.
Thank you. So at the town of Osoyoos administers the contract for the transit services for BC Transit. As part of the operating agreement, route changes are recommended by BC Transit and must be approved by the town. The transit service is operated through South Okanagan Transit Society, or SOTS. SOTS has requested BC Transit consider a route change for Osoyoos in order to facilitate ease of operating the bus when traffic is extremely busy on Highway 3 at 89th Street. The current route has the bus trying to cross Highway 3 to continue its route on 89th Street. In the summer months, this can pose not only delays in the transit system itself, but is more hazardous overall. SOTS has requested that the route be changed by allowing them to make a right-hand turn onto Highway 3 from 89th Street, continue to Spartan where they would take a left-hand turn, and continue the route in the opposite direction as currently performed. A slight modification is required in order to keep the bus stop in its current location across from the town hall. This takes the northbound route on 89th Street, turning south on 78th Street, then again turning north on 87th Street, and finally turning back west on Highway 3. And there is a map attached, so it's a little bit more clear looking at the map. This will not substantially affect the pickup or drop-off times for the route, but will move the pickup bus stops to the opposite side of the street from their current location. The one across from Town Hall will remain as is. And the options being presented is that council authorize the route change be reconsidered, or that the route change not be approved, and staff recommend option 1.
Council, please. Councilor Ryan.
Yes, I move that we accept that we authorize the route change
Okay.
as proposed.
And Councillor Plant, seconder. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Ms. Van Vienen with the Bylaw Enforcement Officer appointment.
Thank you. In order for bylaw enforcement officers to have the authority to act as bylaw enforcement officers and write tickets under the Municipal Ticketing Information Bylaw, Council must pass a resolution to appoint the bylaw enforcement officers for the town for the purposes of enforcing town bylaws. Council has previously appointed Steve Marshall, Steve Daniels, Patricia Marshall, Gabriel Campbell, Richard Moninger, Shiloh Liver, and Dan Liver as bylaw enforcement officers. Richard Moninger and Gabriel Campbell are no longer active as bylaw officers for the town of Osoyoos, and the current contractor has hired additional workers. They have hired Marie Eva Roberge and Emerald Lutz, and these ladies now need to be officially appointed by council resolution. In addition to bylaw enforcement duties, Ms. Roberge is bilingual and therefore will also be taking on the role of the liaison person with the Quebec visitors and will be assisting with the translation of various bylaw informational brochures. The funding for this portion of her job will be coming from the $3,000 funding council approved for a French liaison officer. So we're looking for a council resolution that Marie Eva Roberge and Emerald Joy Lutz be appointed bylaw enforcement officers under Section 36 of the Police Act, RSBC Chapter 367, for the purposes of enforcement of municipal bylaws for the town of Osoyoos.
Thank you. Councillor McCordoff.
Yes, I would be happy to move option 1, that we Ms. Roberge and Ms. Lutz be appointed bylaw officers.
And that seconder, Councillor Ryan. Any dialogue? Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, I'm happy to see that Marie Eva Roberge has joined the bylaw enforcement group, and especially because of her bilingual capability. And she has, in fact, many years as a picker here in the Okanagan. And she spoke before council, was talking about some of the plans she had, and I think she's going to be a good person to be in that role, but also particularly in a kind of a liaison role with the Quebec visitors and workers. So looking for her to really add a great deal, I think, to our community. And I'm sure, I don't know the other person, but I'm sure that our bylaw will continue to do well as they have in the past.
Great. Councillor McCordoff?
Yeah, I do know the other person, Emerald Lutz. She was in my class in kindergarten, and so
she must be excellent.
Absolutely, and she has grown up here and has a great tie to Osoyoos. So I think she'd be also an added plus.
Great, great. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. They have been appointed. Oh, here's a good news story. Osoyoos Traditional Archery School, licensed to use some Crown property. Ms. Van Vienen, please.
Thank you, and you're right, it is a good news story. At the April 15th, 2013 a Committee of the Whole meeting, Council gave direction to prepare a license to use agreement with the town of Osoyoos, or between the town of Osoyoos and Traditional Archery School for use of the lands located at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road. Attached for council approval is a license to use agreement. This agreement is for a 1-year term with a possible 1-year renewal and requires the archery school to provide $5 million liability insurance, naming the town as additional insured. An additional clause is included in the term with respect to further renewals requiring the land use changes that must be agreed to and approved by council. The archery school has agreed to the terms that are proposed in the attached agreement, including having a porta potty installed on the property and regularly maintained. The agreement also includes a clause that if the town works crews require access to the water reservoir on the property, that the archery school will need to vacate for those purposes. This agreement is classified as a disposition of land and therefore requires to be advertised in 2 consecutive issues of the Osoyoos Times. The archery school will be responsible for the advertising costs. Implications for the community: it's a recreation that is available to all family members. Organizationally, it's just monitoring of the agreement. There are no budget implications. No significant dates, and sustainability, there is a continuation of an established activity. And as council remembers, they used to operate out of Desert Park Center, and they haven't been able to since the flood earlier this year. So the options being presented to council is that the license to use agreement with Osoyoos Traditional Archery School for the use of lands at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road be approved, that it be returned back to staff for modification, or that it be denied, and staff recommend option 1.
Thank you. This was pretty neat. The time frame on this was amazingly short. I know Brock and Kellyanne probably didn't find it that, but the turnaround in dealing with integrated land management was amazing, and so pleased to see this group move ahead. There's a large youth family component here. It's a relatively inexpensive sport, activity, skill. So it's really neat that this is going ahead, and they've got a permanent site, because they sort of set up some of their big target frames and all that sort of thing for the season. When they set them up, the targets come and go, but the structure stays in that. So this was really great. This was a real good, happy success story. So council, please, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion based on option 1, that the license to use agreement with the Osoyoos Traditional Archery School for use of lands at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road be approved.
And Councillor Plant is seconder. Discussion, please. Councillor Rhodes, you bet.
Well, I think you kind of said it all. You know, anything that we can do as a council to promote, you know, good, solid youth / family activities, I'm on board with that in a minute. But I also wanted to mention there is a little bit of background information that I felt really keen about, is that when they were kind of asking us for use of this property, they also offered to do a cleanup of that area up there, and you know, they didn't have to do that. They probably would have got it anyway, but boy, good for them to make that offer and stand behind it. You know, I know that was a traditional dumping area up there. Has been cleaned up a few times, but good for them for making that offer and standing behind it.
Great comments, Councillor Rhodes. Anything further on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. AGM, Ms. Van Vienna, please.
Thank you. Section 99 of the Community Charter requires that Council hold an annual general meeting to consider the annual report before June 30th of each year. The public has an opportunity to address Council regarding the annual report. The Town of Osoyoos has held the AGM at its second meeting in the month of June, typically, and for 2013 this would be June 17th. The meeting can be held on a day separate from the regular open meeting of Council. However, it is convenient to hold it on the same day. 1 hour has been suggested for the meeting to allow for review of the annual report and for the public to address Council. In the past, the AGM has lasted 1 to 2 hours depending on the number of questions received from the public. It is suggested that the AGM begin at 1 p.m. on June 17th and that the regular meeting be advertised to begin immediately following the AGM, which would meet the notice requirements. Under implications, community opportunity for the public to address Council regarding the 2012 achievements. Organizationally, all directors to be in attendance. There are no budget implications. And significant dates, it is a requirement under the Community Charter to prepare the annual report and schedule the AGM before the end of June. So the options being presented to Council is that the AGM for the Town of Osoyoos be held on Monday, June 17th, 2013 at 1 p.m. in the Council chambers, and that the regular open meeting of Council begin immediately following the AGM, or that you pick another date and time, and staff recommend option 1.
Thank you, Ms. Van Vienen. I know that we in the past we have moved them around from the Sonora Center. I know we were at one year in the library building just before the library moved in, and that we're adequate here for space and facilities and all that, and maybe had 5 people out last year. Is that?
I don't even know if we had that many.
Okay. Yeah. So that the physical component all works well, and we're probably better off here, and then we would be on Channel 18 also. Okay. Council, please. Councillor Ryan?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we have our town annual general meeting on Monday, the 17th, 2013, at 1 p.m., and that our at the council chambers, and that our regular open meeting of council follow immediately thereafter.
Okay. And Councillor McCordoff? Okay. Just a question, Ms. Van Vienen. If we run overtime at the AGM, if we could just, you know, let's say it happened to be a contentious one or longer or something like that, and we ended up running late, that's all right, we don't.
That's why we'll put the advertisement that the regular meeting will follow immediately after.
Okay.
And if it goes past 5 o'clock, you just have the resolution that it goes past 5 o'clock.
Right. Okay, great. Okay. Anything further from council? Councillor Ryan?
I just wondered, Mr. Mayor, whether the public will see this on our website or how they will access our annual report.
The annual report has to be available 2 weeks before the AGM, so we'll have, or I believe it's 10 days, and we have to have it at the town office here, and we will be putting it up on the website.
Good. Thank you.
Anything further? All in favor of that date? Opposed? Carried. We are heading for June the 17th. The next item, we deferred the original number 10, the Osoyoos Indian Band, and forwarded the sanitary services water extension tender to this slot. Mr. Zackel, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. So before council is the sanitary sewer and water extensions for Tamarack to 45th. This project is in our 5-year financial plan, which had a total budget of $130,000. April 4th is when the tender closed for this, and a total of 5 bids were received, with the lowest bid being V-Line Construction at $143,902.50, which includes a contingency allowance and GST. True Consulting has reviewed the tender packages and has confirmed that V-Line Construction was the lowest bidder. However, the tender was over budget by $25,000 due to the additional costs of pavement and boulevard restoration. These projects are fully funded by the Osoyoos Indian Band. The OIB was contacted, and we have received the additional funding from them for this project to proceed. So True's recommendation is to award the contract to V-Line Construction in the amount of $143,902.50. Implications for the community is expansion to the town's sewer and water infrastructure. Organizationally, no changes. Budget, project is targeted to come in over budget. The additional funds have been received from the Osoyoos Indian Band, and it is included in the 5-year financial plan. And sustainability, we're an improvement to the town's infrastructure. So the options before council is to award the sanitary sewer and water extensions, Tamarack to 45th Street tender to V-Line Construction in the amount of $143,902.50, which includes an $8,000 contingency and GST. Option 2 is to delay the project, and that option is not recommended. So going with option 1 as the recommendation for council.
Okay, thank you. Council, please. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion based on option 1 to award the sanitary sewer and water extension Tamarack to 45th Street tender to V-Line Construction in the amount of $143,902.50, which includes an $8,000 contingency and the GST.
Thank you. And that seconder, Councillor McCordoff. Discussion, please. Councillor Pond.
I just thought thank you, Mayor, I'd ask the question about timelines for this project.
The biggest thing was trying to get this project done as soon as possible before the traffic flows started to really pick up. Unfortunately, we had this tender closed back in the beginning of April, but because it came in over budget, I wanted to ensure that we had the funding all in place before this got brought back forward to council. So unfortunately, this was the earliest opportunity that we had to bring forward for council's approval to move this project. That being said, it's in our opinion that we want to have this project starting right away and completing right away. We're not talking about a large project in the community.
guess I have the same feelings. You know, we were supposed to be getting critical dates on all this, and particularly following up with what you said, I think as part of the tender, and I'm going to expand what Councillor Plante had to say. This should have had a complete by June 30th date on it, and that's what Council's looking for. And that's just a part of the tender process now, and we want to see it. Darn it.
In the tender package that was presented or put forward to all the contractors, May 15th was the completion date for this project. But because of the delay in getting the awarding, I see that being bumped a little bit. True Consulting contacted V-Line Construction because V-Line Construction has got a large project that they're heading up north to take care of.
Wow.
So the communication that we had with V-Line Construction was, can you get this project done right away before you're going, because that's what we're holding to, is we need to get this done. And the property owner the owner of V-Line said, yes, we can get this done. So they won't be able to adhere to that May 15th deadline, but it's going to be a tight timeline for getting the project completed.
Okay, and I think you can, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Mr. Zackel, because Mr. Romanko, you know, missed this just a couple hours of the meeting here, but this is that whole issue that we got caught with in the past. People left town and they went here, and we never got our completion. And even, you know, we understand that sometimes if you're going to start putting deadlines and dates on, that may change the price, because I think people used us as the spot of last resort. When you didn't have anything else to do, you could go down and complete one of your projects in Osoyoos, because we weren't being demanding and we weren't being diligent, and that's changed. So I understand your comments on this issue right here, and can accept them, but we really need dates on all of our projects from here on in, and all the issues coming from our administrative team. We want critical dates on that, so that we get to understand what's going on. Or when you start getting buttonholed on the steps of the post office, it's nice to have those answers. So not creating a hard one for you at all, but we sure are going to work on critical dates.
From a council's perspective, we do appreciate those comments, and we'll work very hard to adhere to that.
Great. You're such a gentleman. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask the route that this will take, and also the purpose of this particular extension.
I don't have those design drawings in front of me, so I can't answer that. I do know that we've received highways approval, so I'm assuming that this is going along Highway 3.
Okay.
Is what I would assume.
Okay.
Because of the highway permit approval.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was going up between Tamarack and the 45th. What about the purpose of it?
The purpose of this extension is to provide the water and sewer to the future service station of the Osoyoos Indian Band.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Part of that road realignment.
Yeah, I just thought it was important to get that on the table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
The other thing that this will benefit us is this is our water line, so any new developments on the other side of the highway, we'll have source of water and sewer.
Okay.
Up to there now too.
Okay, great. Anything further from council? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Mr. Zackel. Brings us to the end of the business and heading into some reports. General Sun Bowl Arena payroll accounts, general Sun Bowl cash requirements to May the 6th, representing balances in the general account $398,513.68, and Sun Bowl accounts in the amount of $11,362.52, and payroll accounts in the amount of $62,462.16 for receipt. Any comments on any of those amounts? They were all adopted by consensus. Committee reports. There are minutes from an EDAC meeting. Councillor McCordoff?
Yes, thank you. The EDAC Group Economic Development Advisory Committee meets once a month. Very gung-ho group, and they're in the process of doing, of looking at a walkabout in terms of visiting businesses downtown. That would be along with some of the EDAC people, some of the Chamber of Commerce, and some of the Town Council. They're also doing a relocation guide update, and that seems to be almost complete. So they're a busy group, and they get things done.
Okay. Do we need a motion to receive those, Ms. Van Vienen? Okay. Yeah. By Councillor McCordoff. Rhodes, all in favor. They have been received into the minutes. Are we having a CAO report today? Not that we're aware of. Okay, going into councillors' reports. I haven't pushed that button yet. Oh. Who's up?
Well, it's we're not
Chadsey.
sure. Councillor Chadsey is first on the
Okay.
list.
I'm not even that far. So, seeing as it won't be Councillor Chadsey, how about Councillor McCordoff?
Okay.
Okay.
Was I first on the list too?
I have Councillor McCordoff, Plot, Ryan, and Lewis.
Okay, thank you. So one of the things that, well, several things that are happening right now and that we've been attending. We were, Councillor Ryan and Councillor Plante and I were at SILGA, Southern Ontario Local Government Association in Salmon Arm, and you've heard a little bit about that already. We were very impressed with the green space up there and their parks and their trail network, and it just seemed to hit all of us that that was something that we needed to make sure that we had in our town. They were also doing a downtown revitalization, and it was great. One of the things that we particularly liked was on Thursday, instead of having a catered lunch at the hotel where most of us were staying, they gave us food vouchers, and they allowed us with a list, a map and a list of some of the restaurants, small and large, in town. And there were 12 of them, I think, and we went for a little walk and found a great sushi restaurant and presented our voucher there. And what a cool idea to have us traveling around their town and visiting other businesses, and what a great economic development driver to have have us attend some of their restaurants. So it was good. On Saturday, I was at the art gallery. It was the end of the children's show, and I helped take down some of the children's art from all of the schools and from the child care center. Terrific, a wonderful display. And I also was there asked to draw for the quilt, and a lot of the artists in town work particularly hard at putting up all these displays, and the quilters had designed and made a quilt, and it was raffled, and that money will go to support the art gallery. So anything we can do to help them, because we have a wonderful group of artistic people in this town, and they have several 15 or 16 different workshops already in place for the summertime that not only help local children but also visitors, so it's well used. You noticed that the royalty was here a little bit earlier, and I just want to say that on June 30th this year will be the crowning of Miss Osoyoos, and July 1st, of course, is Canada Day, Cherry Fiesta, the 65th annual. So we are asking anybody from the last 65 years who has been a queen or princess to phone Kathy Basket or me, and we're trying to set up cars and have several of the past royalty take part not only on the crowning on the 30th, but to also be involved in the parade on July the 1st. So if anybody knows of a past royalty, please ask them to call us, because we do not have everybody's new names or phone numbers or email addresses. So we'd really like to hear from everybody. The Market on Main is the opening of Market on Main is on May the 18th, right outside here in Town Square. This year, the Market on Main is being held every Saturday from May the 18th until the 28th of September. And for 7 Wednesdays from 5:30 to 8:30, from the middle of July to the end of August, there will also be a market down at Gyro Beach. So we're quite excited about having both of those markets in operation. And one more thing is the Children of the Street. It's called TCO Squared. Take care of ourselves, take care of others. And it is a program that is sponsored by the Osoyoos Seroptimists. It is for grade 6 and 7 students. It starts tomorrow, so it's May the 7th and May the 8th, and it's going to be in all of the schools in School District 53. The idea is to try and warn students in grade 6 and 7 about sharing online information and the risk of sexual exploitation. So this is a group from Vancouver that's coming up, and I would certainly like to invite any parents who are interested in hearing about this program to attend tomorrow night. That would be Tuesday, May the 7th. It's at the Mini Theater at 7 o'clock. And the people putting on the program will be happy to answer any of your questions. And I think it'll be very worthwhile. And the last thing I have to tell you was when I was at Silga, I had my picture taken with Trevor Linden.
Thanks, Councillor McFardoff. Councillor Plant, please.
Hi there. Thank you, Mayor. I actually am only going to bring up one thing, and that's Splash Park. I want to thank Council again for moving forward our purchase here for equipment on Phase 1. So that brings a whole other momentum boost to our committee and to the Splash Park. So I'm looking forward to getting that stuff ordered up and getting it here and starting that in motion. We're also still doing the fundraiser, so please come down and purchase tickets. They're $50. They're $50 tickets. There's only 400 tickets out there. Councillor Rhodes has those at R&R Rentals. I have some. Please call. I believe we have some here at town, and I also believe we have some at the Sonora Center. So please, there's $10,000 worth of prizes on that. So, and that's it for me. I'm going to keep it short. It's warm in here, so I'd like to get outside.
Thanks, Councillor Blunt. Councillor Ryan, please.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Well, it's been 3 weeks since the last council meeting, and it was a time filled with a lot of activity, and it looks like spring has arrived, and with it the tourist season. My wife and I actually had a visitor in this interim period. The mother of my son's wife came to visit us in mid-April, and she's an artist, and she was really taken by our beautiful landscapes and the wildflowers and the blossoming orchards and the many shades of green, and so she did a lot of sketching, and maybe we'll see some of her pictures when we go next. But it's interesting, she dropped in to see the artist on Main and mentioned a friend of hers who lives up in Lake Country, and they said, oh yes, we know her. So I think she was beginning to feel quite at home here in Osoyoos. Some congratulations to the Oyster Festival for a successful second annual event. We also had a chance to bill it to impressive young women who were here for the Slow Food event.
They were both from the Lower Mainland. They were passionate about the plight of honeybees, about promoting organic produce, growing and eating healthy, nutritious foods. And they, as a little house gift, they left us with a couple of things that they had, home canned things that they had done from their own gardens and so on. So that was really nice, and we're going to think of them as we enjoy those. And congratulations to Ingrid Jarrett for her organizational leadership of that. It was just so exciting to look down on Saturday, look down Main Street, and to see all these tents and booths and so on with all kinds of farmers and other people selling all sorts of wonderful, nutritious foods. And also had a very a wonderful evening at the Osoyoos Senior Secondary School's musical review, Seasons of Love. It was really well done. It was an excellent production, locally produced. And what I really liked was seeing a revival of the drama department there, and I hope it'll continue and grow. And I guess largely responsible to the initiative of the drama and English teacher, Sarah Duziak, who wrote and directed it. So it was really, really a fine production. On the work front, I participated in a panel, an open forum in Oliver about a week or so ago for growers and farm workers. It was an initiative that came out of a group that met last November that the mayor and I attended their initial meeting. And they were trying to improve the conditions of and the relationship between agricultural workers, both domestic and foreign, in the orchards and vineyards and the local communities. And so I was happy, as I said earlier, that we have now a bylaw officer for this summer who will be a former picker and is bilingual, and hopefully will help in bridging that gap between the community and the workers. And then, of course, last week, as Councillor McCortoff said, I was one of the 3 councillors who attended the Southern Interior Local Government Association annual convention in Salmon Arm. We had a nice presentation, very up-to-date presentation on the Agricultural Land Commission, and which is always very timely for us because we do have a couple of outstanding things that keep coming back to us about parcels in our community. We also got an update on the economy by the Bank of Canada economist, heard an update on mining in the province, and participated in an input session with UBCM staff and executive on finding new sources of revenue for local government. And if you look at our annual report, or our annual audited financial statements, I should say, you really see, if you look at all the sources of income, you realize that, boy, where would we be without grants? I mean, the grants are about 3/4 of our total budget, so we really need those. And of course, grants are always a bit whimsical, you know. I mean, you maybe get them and you don't get them, and sometimes you get them for a while and then they dry up. So what local governments are looking for is something that's more reliable sources of revenue and income, perhaps prying some of those sources out of the hands of senior governments. We also passed some resolutions for consideration and onward submission to the provincial government. Our goose resolution got approved, I'm happy to say, and it was asking for us to have broader options to control our goose population. So we hope that that will go forward, and that it also will be acted upon by the federal agency responsible. We also supported 2 resolutions that, that regarded the increased cost of electricity from BC Hydro and Fortis. And one of them asked the BC Utilities Commission to review the electrical tariff and increase the amount of kilowatt hours that qualify for the lower rate, so to raise that threshold and make it a little higher. So with the tourist season, of course, life in Osoyoos changes, and some changes we find difficult, make life a little more difficult, like finding a parking space, making a left turn onto Main Street. At least we fixed that for the bus. And but we try to take these in stride and consider parking off Main Street. You know, we've got a number of lots on the side streets, and so use those. Walk to your errands if you can, or bike. And the other thing is to greet people with a friendly hello and show that we are showing Canada's warmest welcome to them. And last but not least, don't forget the vote.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I know it's nice outside. We have business from this morning to complete too, so we'll be here for a while yet. So on April 15th at our last council meeting, we were so fortunate to have a group from the Osoyoos High School Global Awareness Club attend our Committee of the Whole meeting. As we listened to their pitch on bee awareness, I couldn't help but think about how lucky we are to have these obviously enthusiastic, well-motivated young members as part of our community. You know, they've identified a problem, become aware and educated about it, and are now becoming proactive in making a contribution to the solution. And I say, how great is that? So I'd like to put out a big thank you and a way to go to Shelby, Alana, Natasha, and all of the members of the Global Awareness Club. Great job when you were here. So thanks to the information we received, I've now become more aware of the importance of bees to our survival and how the overall circumstances that have put these essential insects in such peril in our world. I really never had any idea at all how serious a situation that this is. During their presentation, it was stated that without germination by bees, there is no food. And that statement had an immediate effect on me and made me aware of how wonderful it is to have this group searching and working towards a solution. It was also mentioned by the delegation that bees are at risk because of cell phone towers and smart meters, which impede bees from pollinating plants efficiently. We're all aware of the highly controversial subject of smart meters, Councillor Ryan, in Osoyoos. And I find that very, very thought-provoking in how they affect bees in our community. The club is promoting a bee awareness fundraiser to help further their cause. Their theme of Mums Love Flowers and So Do Bees works real well because Sunday is Mother's Day. This is being promoted by the Global Awareness Program at OSS and Your Movie Store. You can purchase a sunflower from them for $5 at the Your Movie Store. And they're saying, plant it in your garden, help bees to pollinate, and put a smile on your mom's face. So they have a few catchphrases that they brought forward to us, and I'd like to just pass those on. And every time I say the word bee, just keep in mind that it has two E's instead of one. And that's to be aware, be engaged, bee pollen, be excited about bees, believe in the environment, and probably most important, don't worry, be happy. So if you have an opportunity to meet one of these Global Awareness Club members or anybody that's associated with them or helping them along with this program this week, you know, take a second out of your day, shake their hand, and thank them for making your world a little bit better.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. In my previous life, I certainly learned to appreciate bees. I was a cherry grower, and I used to have them brought in. They'd come in for about 3 or 4 days at I think $30 a hive. Then I'm sure it's quite a bit more now, and come in for that pollinization period and go again. So I certainly appreciated bees, and as you had said, without them, I wouldn't have had a crop, and we wouldn't really have world food without the bees. So yeah, that was a great presentation, and the council did a proclamation on Bee Awareness Day. On my report, it's been a while since we've reported out. Some of the things have been mentioned before, such as that Oyster Week. That was just really, really over the top. To have the growers of the oysters from Quadra Island and Cortez Island, have them here for that 3 or 4 days and in their demonstrations, and they did all the shucking, and to talk to them, and my understanding of oysters over those days really increased immensely. You know, I thought there was all these different sizes and everything were different oysters, and there's really one. It's how they're grown. It's how they're farmed, and on a 20 by 18 foot raft, you can raise 5,000 dozen oysters. The learning curve was, besides eating great oysters, and the around town, the different areas and the different venues, they really did a fine job. On a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock at Walnut Beach, on that main deck out there, they had probably 15 people with their oysters in different styles, and there was some wine and some music, and we were looking out towards Osoyoos and the bridge and that, and it was I had to pinch myself to believe that I wasn't in Europe. I mean, it was just that wonderful a weekend, and that got followed up by Slow Food and the Ingrid Jared that Councillor Ryan talked about. What a show that was, from around the world. Ingrid had gone to Italy a year ago for this conference, this Slow Food conference, and she told me, she said, I'm going to Italy for this conference, and I'm sort of going, oh, you know, that's, and darn if she didn't bring it back and land it here. And so, you know, like there was this, I can't think of her name right now, but it was from Italy, and it was her first day in Canada, and Martha and I ended up buying her a little thing of maple syrup to take back. She was only here 5 days. She was here came from Italy for the concert, here for 5 days and back home again. And many people from Ontario and across Canada, all on this Slow Food Conference, which is an organization that has structure. And they worked really hard when they were here. They had lectures and seminars and did some traveling around. So it was just really wonderful. One night on the food, they had all the apprentice chefs and everyone out of True University in Kamloops, which has a trade component to it. So they had all the chefs and apprentices down, and they were doing all these small bite pieces of food and that. So it was great. And that market day on the Saturday afternoon out there, that was really incredible. To see all those merchants with the products that they had, and I think talking to Ingrid, I think they're going to try to make that happen again. For sure, this was 2 years for the oysters, and try to get that third year coming in. And she had we couldn't use that Slow Food anymore because again that's a title, but she was talking about Terroir Madre, which would be Mother Earth, and putting on a very similar type of day. And you know, you start looking at that and you say, maybe that's our niche market that we're looking for. Maybe that's a kick to that shoulder season to get this going. And there was a lot of out-of-town people that had come and were staying for it, and that's just, you know, the weather was testy. There was certainly a lot of wind and things like that, but they certainly had a wonderful time. I also attended the Mayor's Caucus, which is sort of a new organization. This was our third meeting every 6 months. It was in Prince George. Gee, I'm still out on it. I really don't know. I don't want to see another level of governance. I don't think there should be another level of governance out there. They haven't all in it, so it's just mayors, no council, no regional districts at all, just the mayors. There was 68 mayors there, I believe, and all the big city players were there. But I don't know that it's value for dollar. They don't. If you have all your ideas and you take everything forward, they don't have the vehicle to deliver it. So we're not going to get into hiring staff and doing all that. So they were going to look at trying to see if they can deliver it through UBCM, but we already have UBCM, and it has a place, and that's where the three councillors were. They were at basically a UBCM, a local chapter of the UBCM. So I don't think we need this duplicated and that, so I just sort of, I'm going to keep having that question go around in my head for a little while. There's a great new business in town that opened. It was our food truck. It's the little pink one at the Saunders Clock on Pioneer Walkway. Do stop by. They're doing some smoothies, all very, very healthy food, very healthy food, and that's their goal. I had a berry smoothie and it had some beet in it, and it was very good. You wouldn't, when you read the words, you probably wouldn't think that would go together, but believe me, it's going to go together very well. Those folks have got a real program over there. They're going to do very well in their first food truck experience in Osoyoos. So congratulations to them. On Sunday, I went to the MS Walk in Penticton. I think this was my 6th year in a row. Very, very worthwhile. South Okanagan. It's just a great endeavor up there, and fundraiser and money collector for the war against MS. And on my way home, I went to the hospice walk in Oliver. I got there just as they were taking off because the time frames are getting a little tighter between the MS walk and the hospice walk. But it looks like they had a very successful day, and they're trying to get it going in Osoyoos, and we have a couple of Osoyoos people involved in it. One of them being past Councillor Ted Cronmiller. But if anyone's interested, we could really use Osoyoos people as part of the Oliver Osoyoos Hospice Society. They operate in both towns. There's no idea yet where the hospice would ever be. They keep looking at that building on John Gold. They definitely need some Osoyoos people and an Osoyoos event. They were talking about maybe moving the walk, but that doesn't really work. They've got, because it was established in Oliver for quite a while, but we certainly need an event in Osoyoos, be that a wine and cheese fundraiser or something like that. So again, a very worthwhile endeavor, something that if you ever need it or have a family member in hospice, you really realize how important it is to have that service in a small community. I had both an aunt and uncle in Penticton go through Moog House, and such a relief for those people to have that service. So if we can get this going, people interested, we can get you hooked up, Janet Shaw and Oliver, we can get through the town hall here, we can get people hooked up. And I think that's enough. I could probably go on for a bit, but again, we have that sunny South Okanagan afternoon out there, so I think we'll just head for a motion to adjourn from Councillor Plant. Ryan, all in favor? We are adjourned. Good afternoon, folks.